So everyone, today we'll be discussing about the basics of molecular medicine. So, so in your part one and two, this might be just like, it might just come to a very small percentage of all the questions that you're going to learn, but it's very important and it forms the basis of all your genetic disorders, the treatment, and how the disease pathogenesis happens and all of it. Okay. So today we'll be discussing about only the basics. I'll be discussing about some terminologies with you, and also we will see like about how genes are regulated, what are genomes, what is PCR, what is reverse PCR, and all of that. Okay, look at what a transcriptome is. So transcriptome is a complete set of RNA molecules produced by the genome at a specific time. So whenever DNA is transcribed into RNA, it is called, the entire complete set is called a transcriptome. It includes the mRNA, tRNA, rRNA, microRNA, and also LNC RNA. So, what are the characteristics of a transcriptome? It is very dynamic as it depends on the transcription from a DNA. It is tissue specific, it changes with each disease, and also it can change with treatment. So, what are the clinical uses here? Again, it is mainly for cancer classification to see if it's a high risk variety or a low risk variety, the biomarker discoveries, and also gene expression profiling. Next is a comparison of all the four. So genome, transcriptome, proteome, and a metabolome. So genome is nothing but it consists of DNA, transcriptome consists of RNA, proteome consists of proteins, and metabolome is nothing but simple basic metabolites. So stability wise, DNA and the genomic sequence has the highest stability, and least stability will be the metabolites because they are the smallest structures and they are very variable and rapidly keep changing with each metabolic reaction. So changes with the disease are, like we said, transcriptome, proteome, and metabolites change rapidly and frequently with each disease. But the genomic sequence and the DNA sequence of one particular organism or one particular human being is going to be the same. Though if it will affect the disease and the final expression of any gene, it is not going to change and it is going to be fixed mostly unless and until there is a mutation. So moving on to the clinical applications. So why do we need to study all of this? So it comes to importance in cases of precision medicine, oncology, infectious diseases, cardiology, and neurology. So when it comes to precision medicine, it is very important for cancer therapy where you want to target a particular set of genes or particular set of expressions, or rare disease diagnosis, and also specific drugs and newer drugs which are targeted at certain specific molecules. So it is very, very important when it comes to precision medicine, and also oncology, because genetic variations or variations in sequences of RNA is going to lead to variation in the genetic expression. This can lead to variations and mutations leading to cancerous and carcinoma formation. So tumor sequencing, target mutation, and prognostic markers have to be evaluated and found out when it comes to oncology. Infectious diseases, again, different organisms are involved, and sequencing and finding out which organism is causing a particular disease. It is very important to find out which organism is the causative organism, because it is, you will have to go ahead with specific treatment. So for sequencing to find out antimicrobial sensitivity and resistance, and also host response profiling, it is important. Cardiology, it is still under evaluation. Most common is nothing but biomarkers, the cardiac biomarkers that we use. And neurology, again, for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, this is also under research. Next, moving on to reverse transcriptase PCR. Reverse transcriptase PCR is nothing but conversion of RNA into complementary DNA before amplification into PCR. So, like, not all organisms are made up of DNA, right? There are a lot of macrophages, viruses, which have RNA as their genomic component. So, here, what we need is to convert them into a DNA strand and then amplify them to identify that particular organism. Till now, there has not been any technique that has been found out to amplify RNA just as how we do for DNA and PCR. So what we do is convert the RNA strands into complementary DNA strands and then amplify them. So the steps involved here are, first will be RNA extraction, then reverse transcriptase, which converts the RNA into the complementary DNA. Then PCR amplifies the complementary DNA, and final part would be the detection of the amplified product, monoclonal antibodies. So what are monoclonal antibodies? Monoclonal antibodies are identical antibodies produced by a single clone of B lymphocytes. They bind to a specific epitope on an antigen with very, very high specificity, where they do not bind to the any other epitope, that is any other particular protein portion in the antigen. Okay, so there are different techniques to produce a monoclonal antibody. So a lot of the most oldest and basic technique is the mouse immunization. So what they used to do is inject the antigen into a mouse, and then the antibodies will naturally be produced by the mouse, and then the antibodies were extracted from the mouse. Then isolation of B cells from the spleen, fusion with myeloma cells, because myeloma cells are going to produce an excessive and tremendous amount of B cells. So once fusion technique is done, you will be able to produce specific monoclonal antibodies, which are very, very specific to a certain antigen. Then formation of hybridomas, screening and cloning of each antibody that is produced, and large-scale antibody production. And then last phase of cell signaling pathways and regulation of gene expression, where each step, even a tiny variation in each step, can lead to a completely different outcome and lead to very, very disastrous diseases like carcinoma and autoimmune disorders. Okay, thank you.